If we said that the traps of the shaitan, all of them come back to shubuhat and shahawat. They come back to misconceptions and confusion and a lack of knowledge, or they come back to desires and oppression and doing what you know to be wrong. And by the way, from the evidences of this is the ayat we read every single rak'ah of every single prayer. اهدنا الصراط المستقيم صراط الذين أنعمت عليهم غير المغضوب عليهم ولا الضالين. هو المغضوب عليهم, not speaking about the religious group. هو المغضوب عليهم, what is their صفة? ما صفتهم? It is that they know what they're doing is wrong, but they do it anyway. And هو الضالين, not the group, but what's their ما صفتهم? What's their description? They're the people who don't know what they're doing. So Allah told you all evil, everything that takes you away from the Sirat al-Mustaqim is either doing something you know to be wrong or not knowing the difference between right and wrong. And the Yahud they became known for the first one, and the Nasara became known for the second, even though both of them have it. Both the Yahud and the Nasara have both, but they became famous for the first one. Famous for knowing it's wrong, but doing it anyway. And that's why we see them until today, they haven't changed. Knowing something it's wrong and doing it anyway. And the Nasara not knowing the difference between what's right and wrong, and just worshipping Allah upon jahl, upon ignorance. So now what is it? What weapon do you have by which you can fight against shubuhat? It is al-ilmun nafi'. It's beneficial knowledge. Knowledge of your religion is what protects you by Allah's permission from confusion and misconception and doubt. That's why a person might watch, and I would never encourage you to do this, but a person might watch a video of, I'll give an example. I was talking to someone again from this whole atheism and people who wanted to leave Islam. And I asked them, who was your inspiration in leaving Islam? And they mentioned this particular Christian monk kind of thing. It's an online monk. Look at that. Is that not a contradiction? Anyway, it's an online monk. And to be honest, they were like, their arguments are so convincing. And I looked at it and I thought, wallahi, these arguments are like Subyan al-Kuttab. It's like nursery school. It's like kindergarten level arguments. And I'm not that knowledgeable. The point is a little bit of knowledge, and you listen to it and you're like, they think they won't. I was speaking to a Christian missionary just the other day in Canada. I was speaking to a Christian missionary who came to speak to me, and he came to me and he's like, I got you. Now you don't have an answer. It's like, look, Uthman got rid of the Quran, and now you've got a Hafs Quran and a Warsh Quran and a Khalaf Quran. I thought, I was honestly thinking, is this really worth me actually opening my mouth to say? That's an argument that even somebody who studied Ulum al-Quran for 2 days knows that argument is completely false from beginning to end, and he's mixed up like 3 totally different things and put them all together and just got himself confused. The point is a little bit of knowledge, and suddenly that shubha actually looks like the easiest thing to answer in the world. Don't expose yourself to them. Don't expose yourself. Don't go looking for them, because you don't know you're going to be safe. But a little bit of knowledge, and suddenly that shubha looks like something very small. That's why, and I'm not saying to you about me, I'm actually going to say to you, when I get a shubha that I feel could touch my heart, I go to one of my mashayikh. And I remember in the Jami'ah, when I was in the university, there was some doubts and things, some people were raising them, like shubahat. And I remember going to Sheikh Salih Sindi, Hafidhullah Ta'ala, asking the Sheikh, And the sheikh wouldn't even bother looking at a book. Yeah, he didn't even I'm giving him this complex, really difficult thing that someone said to him, Sheikh, what is it? Sheikh, do you need to research? He's like, research. 60 seconds, and I'm thinking, I was such an idiot to even think that was difficult. 60 seconds, just 1, 2, 3, finished. And that's why, subhanAllah, the more knowledge you have, the more these shubuhat just dissolve and disappear. But you never feel safe, because part of taqwa is being scared for your deen, being scared that you might lose it. You don't feel safe. You don't say, nobody can defeat me, no one can bring me a doubt, no one can cause me to slip. But the more knowledge you have, the better your answer is. Now here I'm going to give you a benefit. There are 2 ways to answer a shubha. And this might just save a person's deen by Allah's permission. So think really carefully and convey it to people. There are two ways. There is jawabun mujmal and jawabun mufassal. There's a generic answer and there's a specific answer. Now, what do I mean by that? This is very important. Many times you might not know the full answer to an issue that's presented to you. Someone says there's a hadith which says ... Or someone says, don't you know that Uthman did ... Don't you know that Abu Bakr did ... Don't you know that Islam allows you to do X, Y, Z? And you don't have any answer to it. At this time, what you need is enough knowledge to know that it's wrong, but not to know why it's wrong. And that's what we call al-jawab al-mujmal, a generic answer. You have enough knowledge to know it's wrong. For example, someone says to you, Islam oppresses women with 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. For example, Islam oppresses women because the inheritance of a woman is half that of a man. And you didn't study inheritance, you've got no idea, you didn't memorize the ayat in Surah An-Nisa, you're sat there thinking, I don't know what this inheritance thing is and I don't know why. But you do know one thing. وَلَا يَظْلِمُ رَبُّكَ أَحَدًا. Your Lord will never oppress anyone. That is your jawab mujmal. It doesn't give you the detailed answer, it doesn't answer the issue of inheritance, but it gives you enough to know that it's definitely wrong. I don't know what you're saying to me, I don't know about inheritance, I don't know the ayat, but I know you have to be wrong because I know that Allah doesn't oppress anyone. What you're saying might be true about inheritance, might be wrong about inheritance, you might be misquoting, mistranslating, you might be telling the truth, but I don't understand the wisdom for it. But I know there's no way that Islam oppresses anyone, male or female. It's impossible. Is that answer enough? It's enough temporarily to allow you to breathe, to allow you to go and get the answer. It's not enough in the long run to answer that question. You come to someone to answer that question and they gave you jawabun mufassal. The first thing is they said that I don't agree with you that in every situation the inheritance of a woman is less than a man. Rather, in the ayat you are quoting to me, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala mentions the person who dies and doesn't leave behind a child and then says for the mother is فَلِأُمِّهِ ثُلُث. The mother gets a third. So I don't agree with you. Yani we're just now talking about a situation. I don't agree with your premise in the beginning that a woman gets always half of what a man gets or always gets less than what a man gets. Rather, in the situation of certain brothers and sisters, they get the same amount. In situations, the mother gets more than some of the male relatives. I don't agree with you in the first place. That's my first answer. My second answer is, what is an obligation upon the man from that inheritance and what is the obligation upon the woman? The man, he has to spend upon who? He has to spend upon his daughters, his wife, sisters, he spends upon his family. That woman, what does she have to spend that money upon? Handbags and shoes if she wants to. She has no obligation to spend it on anyone other than herself. This is just, we're not going into detail. I'm just saying that if you didn't know that answer, that's fine. If you didn't know that answer, no problem. But you knew it's impossible for there to be dhulm upon anyone in Islam. We just don't understand the rules. And then you got an answer and said, first of all, your premise where you said to me that the inheritance of a woman is always less than a man, I don't agree with that. And I can give you halat where it isn't. So I think your entire premise is false. Then on top of that, that money is entirely hers. Whereas that man, very likely, that money he has to spend upon her. So in fact, you could get a situation where you got two people, a man and a woman who inherit. She inherits, let's say, for example, $100,000 and he inherits $200,000. And then he spends on her and she just sits there saving the money. وَلَا يَظْلِمُ رَبُّكَ أَحَدًا. Your Lord doesn't oppress anybody. So the point is, I didn't know the answer to all that. Maybe there's a better answer than that. I'm just giving you an example. But here, you knew that Allah doesn't oppress anyone, so you knew it had to be wrong. And that was enough to get you to somebody who will give you the proper answer. And that proper answer then got rid of the shubha and it died. And somebody brings another shubha and the same thing goes. Now the second thing, which is what? Which is desires. How do you overcome your desires? Allah Azza wa Jal said, وَأَمَّا مَنْ خَافَ مَقَامَ رَبِّهِ وَنَهَى النَّفْسَ عَنِ الْهَوَى فَإِنَّ الْجَنَّةَ هِيَ الْمَأْوَى. As for the one who's scared of the maqam, what is the maqam? The maqam, the scholars of tafsir say, is two things. The maqam is al-qiyamu bayna yaday Allahi subhanahu wa ta'ala, standing in front of Allah yawm al-qiyamah. He's scared of standing in front of Allah. And the maqam is Allah's status. Because you say the maqam, someone is there, their status, their high position. So he's scared of Allah's names and attributes. He's scared of what Allah describes himself with. He's scared of Allah's description of himself as swift in punishment and quickly to take people to account. So he's scared of that, and he's scared of the qiyamah. And he prohibits his soul from what it desires. Jannah will be his destination. Ibn al-Qayyim, and it's quite a long quote, but wallahi, this quote amazed me. And I heard this quote from Shaykh Abdul Razzaq al-Badr, hafidhahullah ta'ala, and I heard that the Shaykh was quoting just a part of it. I took the whole quote of Ibn al-Qayyim, and I think he just nailed it, exactly how to overcome your desires. He said, وَلَكِنَّ أَكْثَرَ النَّاسِ غَلِطَ فِي تَحْصِيلِ هَذَا الْمَطْلُوبِ المحبوب النافع إما في عدم تصوره ومعرفته وإما في عدم معرفة الطريق الموصلة إليه فهذان غلطان سببهما الجهل ويتخلص منهما بالعلم. He said, most people made errors in achieving this beloved goal, which will benefit them, either because they don't have an understanding of what it is they're going for. They don't know, they don't have an understanding of what they're trying to achieve, or they don't know how to get it. So as an example, a person doesn't know about Jannah and Jahannam, or knows about Jannah and Jahannam but doesn't know the good deeds that bring you to Jannah, or doesn't know the haram that takes you to Jahannam. He said these two errors, the reason for them is ignorance. And you can get rid of them by knowledge. وَقَدْ يَحْصُلُ لَهُ الْعِلْمُ بِالْمَطْلُوبِ وَالْعِلْمُ بِطَرِيقَتِهِ لكن في قلبه إرادات وشهوات تحول بينه وبين قصد هذا المطلوب النافع. Now he comes to the second point. He said the person might have knowledge, so he knows Jannah and he knows the way to get it, but in his heart there are some wishes and desires that come between him and between this thing that he knows about, that he knows how to get it. This beneficial thing. وَسُلُوكِ طَرِيقِهِ, and the road that will take him to it. فَكُلَّمَا أَرَادَ ذَلِكَ اعترضته تلك الشهوات والإرادات وحالت بينه وبينه. Every time he wants to get this thing, for example, Jannah, or he wants to be from those people who does his prayers, and he tries to set out on the road, these desires come in the way and these wishes come in the way, and they become a barrier between him and between the benefit that he's trying to get. وَهُوَ لَا يُمْكِنُهُ تَرْكُهَا وَتَقْدِيمُ هَذَا الْمَطْلُوبِ عَلَيْهَا إِلَّا بِأَحَدِ أَمْرَيْنِ. He said it's not possible for him to leave them and to prefer the thing that he's aiming for over them, for example, Jannah, except because of two things. So did we understand what Ibn al-Qayyim said? He said, people went astray either because they don't know what they're going for, or they don't know how to get there. And that's ignorance. And there could be someone who knows what they're going for, and they know how to get there, but they have desires that come in the way, and he can't overcome those desires, and he can't prefer what he's going for example, Jannah, over this desire unless he has two things. And this statement, wallahi, if you memorize it, I think you made a benefit of your time. This, what he says here. إِمَّا حُبٌّ مُتَعَلِّقٌ وَإِمَّا فرق مزعج. He said, either he has to have love or he has to have fear. He has to have either some kind of love that drives him forward or some kind of fear that holds him back. So, what does this mean? He said, for Allah and the Rasul sallallahu alayhi wasallam and the Dar al-Akhirah and Jannah and the pleasure of it be more beloved to him than this desire. That's the first thing. So he's got something in his heart where Allah and what he's going to get in Jannah and the rewards of Jannah mean more to him than that desire. Or he knows وَإِمَّا أَنْ يَحْصُلَ لَهُ عِلْمُ ما يترتب على إيثار هذه الشهوات من المخاوف والآلام. Either he has knowledge of what's going to happen to him if he does this sin. He knows the fearful things, the punishments of the grave, the torment that can happen to him, that which makes him feel a pain which cuts off that desire. And it's more of a pain than the pain of losing that desire that he's aiming for, or that came into his heart. So if he can have in his heart these two things, he's going to prefer the Dar al-Akhirah and what is with Allah over this desire. I want to give you an example so we understand a little bit clearly what Ibn al-Qayyim said. Let's just say, in the topic of fear, and I'll try to just give a really like a simple example. A person gets into or thinks about a haram relationship. And the person he's thinking about, she's a very, very beautiful woman. And just as he is about to enter into that haram, he finds out that she has a very, very bad disease that could lead him to be crippled, or it could lead him to become impotent, or it could lead him to have all kinds of medical problems. Suddenly his desire is gone. Why? Because he's more scared of what might happen to him than he loves what he might do. Does that make sense? And before he knew about that, he was all in favor. But then he was like, I could be something really bad could happen to me. And he's more worried about that bad than he is about that. What about on the other side? The same example. Someone is about to enter into a haram relationship. Except that this person is told about another girl who is more beautiful, who has better manners and background and all of that, who is waiting to marry him the week after. And so he decides to leave this one because his love for the one that is coming next week is more than the love for that desire that he's about to enter into. And this is just what we call taqreeb al-fahm, and to make people understand easily what we're talking about. If you have a fear, enough of a fear of something, you suddenly don't want to do the other thing. And if you have enough of a love of something else which is coming, that love of something else will be more than that desire to do something that's wrong. For if a person can have in their heart, and this is where knowledge comes back again, enough knowledge about Allah and His names and attributes and actions, and the knowledge of Jannah and Jahannam, and the knowledge of the pleasures of Jannah and the punishments of Jahannam, that which would make the person love to prefer those things over his sin, then this person can overcome those shahawat. And that's why I had an amazing, fantastic conversation with a doctor, consultant psychiatrist who specializes in addictions. And he was saying to me that, addictions, like he specializes in drug addiction. And he was telling me, addictions are like a lifelong thing, and, people should be prepared that, your brain changes and your whole life, you are very likely to be susceptible to that addiction. And it's very, very hard to overcome because the changes in your brain are such that, it's a lifelong struggle to give up that drug. But he said, the one thing that is proven to actually be, and I'm paraphrasing, but like the one thing that is proven to be successful time and time again in quitting those addictions is religion. Because it's something that's more powerful than the addiction to that drug. So it's one of the few things that is consistently seen in the world of addiction counseling and treatment, that people who have a strong religious belief have a much greater chance of getting rid of that addiction because their religious belief can be something more powerful than even that addiction that has taken over their mind and changed their brain and everything. It can be even more powerful than that. If we understood this, then the first thing that we need to do is to analyze where we went wrong. Is the shaitan in this issue I'm thinking about getting at me through shubuhat or shahawat? Is the shaitan affecting me here because I'm confused? Like we said, the person who's cutting his beard and saying, I don't think it's really haram, and like it doesn't, the Prophet ﷺ never said that, and it's not, I read some scholars said this is not the beard and that's not the beard, and he's confused. Or is it the person knows fine well what they're doing, but they're doing it anyway? Analyze, where did you go wrong and how did you get there? There's a hadith, it's really, really scary hadith, that the Prophet ﷺ said that every child of Adam will commit zina. La mahala, there's no escape. That's shocking, huh? Every single son of Adam will commit zina. La mahala, there's no way out of it. Then he explained the zina of the eye, of the ear, of the hand, of the foot, and then either you follow it up or you don't. Does that make sense? The point here is, look at how the small thing leads to the bigger one. Someone's in this really haram relationship and all kind of stuff is happening. Can you ask yourself, how did I get here? And what is the answer? A look, a listen, a step, a touch. You went down a road that started somewhere. If you could stop what started there, then maybe bi'ithnillahi ta'ala you can stop where it ended up. And that's why when we talk about things like ikhtilat, mixing between men and women, and people say, what's the big deal? And why are you making such a big deal of it? There's nothing going on, there's no relationship going on. You didn't understand. You didn't understand the traps of the shaitan. وَلَا تَقْرَبُوا الزِّنَا, don't come close to zina. You need to do everything. If I can stop men and women mixing together, then maybe I can stop someone looking, and then maybe I can stop someone walking, and then maybe I can stop someone touching, and then maybe I can stop that person from falling into something that will ruin their dunya and their akhirah. For Islam came with sadd al-dhara'i, stopping the things that lead you to something else, to something else, to something else. And part of that is analyzing where you went wrong. In any sin you did, how did I end up here? And sometimes, for example, many people in the modern world, from the traps of the shaitan, I'm not going to lie to you, is this phone. How much evil came to you, how many sins came to you on this mobile phone? And the mobile phone is not in itself haram. I'm not saying that I don't know anybody who says the mobile phone fi haddi dhatihi is haram. But how much evil came into your life, and how many times did you destroy yourself, and how many times did you destroy your relationship with Allah and send your iman plummeting down because of this phone that's in your pocket? In so many ways. Looking at things you shouldn't be, communicating with people you shouldn't be, all different types of things. We said speaking about Allah without knowledge, all different kinds of things that came to you through this phone. Would it not make sense to think about controlling your phone? And maybe, for example, as an example, putting it, one of the things we do is we have a box at home. When everyone goes in the door, the phone goes in the box, we close the box. That means no one is using their phone for haram at night, because no one's using their phone at night at all. No one is using their phone at night, so there's no one using it for haram, because no one's using it at night. And shockingly, you may be shocked, but nobody died overnight when they put their phone in the box. The world didn't end. It's okay sometimes to switch off your phone. And sometimes it stops you from a lot of haram. It could be something simple, like a person having their phone with them at night, or having their phone and taking it with them everywhere, and they take it, they take it all around, taking the bathroom, and they're with it all the time, they've got it with them. Ikhwani, maybe it's a simple thing of just putting your phone on the desk outside and not taking it with you everywhere, and suddenly that problem starts to, and that trap of the shaitan starts to reduce. And maybe it's even before that. What's the reason you open your phone, start looking for haram? Is it not because this wasn't looking at the ground? Instead of looking at the ground, it was staring around and it saw something, and then shaitan whispered to you to Google for something and look for something, and then it got worse. But look where you went wrong. Look where you went wrong and fix it before it now goes all the way to something worse and worse and worse. We take a question after. And then fight against the shaitan. Ibn al-Qayyim, he said, وَأَمَّا جِهَادُ الشَّيْطَانِ فَمَرْتَبَتَانِ. He said fighting against the shaitan is two levels. إحداهما جهاده على دفع ما يلقي إلى العبد من الشبهات والشكوك القادحة في الإيمان. The first one is fighting against the shaitan to repel the doubts and the confusion which affects your iman. We spoke about that. والثانية جهاده على دفع ما يلقي إليه من الإرادات والشهوات. The second one is fighting against him to repel the desires and the cravings that shaitan puts into you. He said, فَالْجِهَادُ الْأَوَّلِ يَكُونُ بِعُدَّةِ الْيَقِينِ وَالثَّانِي بِعُدَّةِ الصَّبْرِ. And Ibn al-Qayyim is something else. Listen to this. He said the first battle against the shaitan is through yaqeen. Didn't we say there's a general answer, which is the yaqeen that it can't possibly be like that? Did we not say that? And the second one is to use the weapon of patience. And then he quoted the statement of Allah Azza wa Jal, وَجَعَلْنَا مِنْهُمْ أَئِمَّةً يَهْدُونَ بِأَمْرِنَا لَمَّا صَبَرُوا وَكَانُوا بِآيَاتِنَا يُوقِنُونَ. That's fahm al-Quran. That's what it means to understand the Quran. He said the evidence, we made among them imams, examples to be followed, who were guided by our command when they were patient and when they had certainty in our ayat. The certainty saved them from confusion and misconceptions, and the patience saved them from their desires. He said, فَأَخْبَرَ أَنَّ إِمَامَةَ الدِّينِ إِنَّمَا تُنَالُ بِالصَّبْرِ وَالْيَقِينِ فَالصَّبْرُ يَدْفَعُ الشَّهَوَاتِ وَالْإِرَادَاتِ وَالْيَقِينِ يَدْفَعُ الشُّكُوكِ وَالشُّبُهَاتِ. He said, Allah told us that to be an imam in the religion, you only get it through patience and certainty. Patience stops you from confusion. Patience stops you from desires and cravings. And certainty stops you from doubts and misconceptions. You have to be more patient than the shaitan. And patience, ikhwani, is three types. Patience in doing good deeds, and patience in keeping away from the haram, and patience in what Allah decrees for you to happen to you in your life from the difficulties and troubles.